There are very big problems that the Chinese economy also faces, problems that will require very far-reaching solutions, and only time will tell whether those solutions will be found, what happens if they are, and what happens if they are not. Here's the first one. China built up its extraordinary wealth over the last 40 years by being an export-oriented powerhouse. They produced mostly for the world economy. They replaced, by outcompeting, British, French, German, Japanese, American corporations. So successful were they in replacing those companies in the export markets of the world that those companies, in most cases, set up shop in China, following the old adage, if you can't beat 'em, join 'em. And they produce now in China an enormous foreign capitalist presence inside the People's Republic of China. And China is worried. It's worried that if something happens to the world economy, as it did in 2008 and 9, and as it did again last year and early this year, that the markets they depend on, to whom they sell all those exports, will dry up, and with it, their ability to employ their people, to pay them the wages, to produce the goods, makes no sense if you cannot sell the goods into the export market upon which China depended. So China now has, for quite some years, been busily trying to develop an internal market. They have, after all, 1.3, 1.4 billion people. Were that to be developed, especially along the lines of the fast development that China has shown everywhere else, you would have an internal market that wouldn't make the Chinese economy so dependent on the rest of the world, whose economic well-being the Chinese cannot and do not control. Will they be successful? Will they build up a domestic market as quickly as they need it to, as quickly as their foreign export markets may require them to? We don't know yet. It's a major problem for them, and they work very hard on trying to solve it. Number two, they are a communist party and a government that is controlled by that party. Therefore, they have a problem when there's an enormous private capitalist sector to their economy. They have the second largest number of billionaires after the United States in the world. And they're growing their billionaire class faster than that in the United States. These are very powerful, very large companies that wield all of the power that goes with megacorporations everywhere in the world. The Chinese government, being a government of communists, at least ideologically opposed to capitalism, critics of capitalism, suspicious of capitalism, have a problem in having invited and enabled an immense private capitalist sector that can and already has bumped heads with the Communist Party and the government. How that plays out is a big problem for the future of China, and one for which a solution is not yet clear. Yet another problem. Not only do they have a big private capitalist sector, they have a big foreign capitalist sector. In other words, a big part of the private capitalism inside China are enterprises effectively owned and controlled by British, French, German, American, and so on corporate entities. And they have even more bases to be upset with, to be confrontational with, to evade the controls of the Communist Party, perhaps bring in their own national governments to lean on the Chinese government, etc., etc. And finally, there is the reality of civil liberties. The Chinese are a coordinated top-down political system. The very success they've had in mobilizing resources has as its other side a rejection, a skepticism, a hostility towards the kinds of civil liberties that are enjoyed in other parts of the world. That's a problem in terms of your consciousness of your people, in terms of where desires for change may go. And there's a question of whether or not you can long postpone the development of labor unions that are independent, social movements that are independent, that may have relationships with the Communist Party of China, but are separate from them. How all of this is going to be managed is a major issue and a major problem for China. It has its achievements, it has its problems.